Welcome to Never Enough Time. Today we're taking a look at the Bulova Lunar Pilot, and it's a watch that is rich in history, that is well liked and well reviewed on YouTube. I have owned it for probably a year now and have some thoughts on it as well. It's still a watch that is readily available, and if you're looking for a chronograph, and like me, resources constrain you a bit because chronographs are one that can really eat up your watch budget or your watch capital. I think the Bulova Lunar Pilot is worth a look. If you got a few minutes, let's take a look at this one.
Across the river there's a woman I know. Sometimes I go there and I knock on the door. I said, baby, 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 let's waste some time.
So I'm not going to go super deep onto the space side of this. Most of my knowledge from the space program comes from TV.
Oops.
Jeannie, I'm gonna blast off any second now.
I know.
Major Nelson, are you coming? Right, I'll be right there, sir.
Once I discovered that genies were not a part of the space program, I lost some interest. But very briefly, this is a watch that was worn, I believe, on the Apollo 15 mission by an astronaut by the name of David Scott. And as story would have it, his government-issued watch failed. A Bulova was his personal watch, which he put on then, and it became part of space lore. That gets covered quite a bit on YouTube. Like I said, I'm not an expert on that. I know the story or a brief version of it. I'll put some links in the description though. Good articles, plenty of background and depth. I don't need to rehash all of that, but if you're interested in going deeper, I'll put those links in the description. But let's take a look at this watch in terms of it being a wearable or usable, or perhaps even a watch you want to add to your collection. As we put the specs up on the screen, I think the thing that really jumps out to me are two things. One is the size, and the other is its aesthetic appeal. So this watch visually is outstanding. The black and the white, which is partly my favorite, it certainly evokes images of the Omega Speedmaster. It definitely has that look as well. So you have white applied indices, you have the white tachymeter scale, which will be running here. You have 1/10 of a second on the 3 o'clock dial for a register. You have your running seconds at the 6 o'clock, and you have your minute counter at the 9 o'clock. Now, this sub-second register, or this 1/10 of a second, I should say, register at the 3 o'clock, that stops once you hit the 30-second mark to save on battery power. But after that, you can see it stop there. Whenever you go to hit stop, it's actually going to register where it was on the 1/10 of a second scale. So that's very cool. But just a watch that's very legible, very easy to read, very pleasing, and looks great on a million different straps. As I roll in some photos here, tremendous versatility in terms of the kind of straps this will go with, whether it's a NATO. This is a distressed black leather strap. It comes with a padded black leather and a NATO. So I have no issues with the way this watch looks. In fact, it is one of the more handsome watches I've ever owned. It is a watch that if you enjoy taking photos or being part of the Instagram community or Facebook or different watch chat groups that you might post pictures to, there's no end to awesome pictures that you can take with this particular watch. So I think it has all of that charm and nostalgia and just good appeal. On the back, on the case back, you have it engraved the Apollo 15 mission, July 16th, 1971 to August 7th, 1971, along with some other information on it. So that's at an aesthetic level. This thing to me is an A+. It really is an awesome looking watch. But let's take a look at the specs on this in terms of its wearability. You have a 45 millimeter watch by 52. It's huge. There's no way around it. This watch is enormous. You have a 20 millimeter lug width. You have 13.5 mil thick, and it is 316 stainless steel, and it is a sort of satin or bead blasted, I guess, case. But you do have polishing on the pushers and the crown, and then the bezel there. So again, adding to that aesthetic pleasure, this watch has all of it. It does run on a high precision NP20 quartz, according to the Bulova website. That's accurate within 5 seconds a month. So this isn't your run-of-the-mill quartz. And if you've seen some of my other videos, I like quartz watches that bring a little something to the table other than just a standard, cheap off-the-shelf quartz. And this one does. The Bulova has a long history of doing very innovative things with their quartz movements. You do have sapphire glass on here. You have 50 meters of water resistance, and I keep touching the crystal here and leaving smudges. It does retail for about $540 brand new, but you can get these both secondhand and new under $400 all day long on eBay. New is closer to $400, used is closer to the $300. So very approachable watch, very gettable watch. They're readily available. They're not hard to get. The Lume BGW9, it's solid, but this watch isn't about the Lume. It's about its functionality as a chronograph, its connection to the space program. So I think this watch hits the mark, everything history and aesthetic related. This watch is problematic though in its sizing. This watch at 45 is enormous. And I've seen other reviews where they say it wears small. There's no chance this wears small. It is huge. It's the biggest watch I would have, and I have a helm. Helm is 43 millimeters, so it's 2 millimeters bigger than a helm Vanuatu. It's a little bit thinner, only 2 millimeters thinner than the helm Vanuatu. And lug to lug, it's within a millimeter. And to me, the helm, I love that watch, but again, it's a big watch for bigger wrists, in my opinion. I think if you're under 7, if you're under a 7-inch wrist, I think this is too big, but you can wear whatever you want. Normally, I roll in a picture of my wife wearing the watches so that smaller wrist can get a sense of what a 6 1/4, 6.5 inch wrist would look. I didn't even bother with this. It's enormous for that size of a wrist. So I think that's the one thing that you would need to be aware of in terms of wearing this watch. Visually, I might be wrong on this, or it might be just me. I think the 20 millimeter lug width makes the watch look bigger because the strap is much narrower compared to the size. Normally, if I'm wearing a watch this big, it's almost always a 22 or 24 millimeter strap. So having 20 sort of accentuates the largeness of the case. The other thing too is, and this is bigger than most watches, the dial space on this watch is 39.5, so almost 40 millimeters of dial. No outer bezel on this, so you have full real estate for the dial. Now, that makes the dial more readable, but it continues to sort of add to the size or wrist presence of the watch. I will throw it on my 8 1/4 inch wrist here. Still wearing this Cordura vintage Seagull. I'm going to do a review on that. It's kind of a fun watch. Those are pretty available on eBay as well and other places. But as I put this watch on here, we will see that it wears quite large, even on an 8-inch wrist. It's a lot of watch. It's a lot of real estate going this way. It's a lot of real estate that way. You get it. It's a big watch, but I think just like some other bigger watches I reviewed, it's outstanding if you can handle the size of the watch. I mean, this is a watch that I get a lot of compliments on. And I don't wear watches to have people compliment them, but it's fun as a hobbyist to explain watches to other people or to perhaps get them interested in watches. And this watch does the trick almost every time. It's an absolutely beautiful watch in my opinion. So we'll kind of cut it off there. I kind of meandered a bit on this video, but it's a watch that's just different than other watches I've had to review because I think it's so good on the aesthetic and visual side and history side, but I think it's, I don't want to say flawed, but it's limiting in the proportions and the size they use. If they did this watch in 40, I think it would just crush because so many other wrists could wear it comfortably. Could it be an everyday piece? There's no doubt. Black and white to me is such a great, versatile, everyday piece. Historical piece, watch enthusiast piece, space nut piece. So I think it checks the boxes in sort of those categories for people. Everyday watch, and I would say if we're going to make up a category, a watch enthusiast category. So that's what I have on the Bulova Lunar Pilot. Thanks for watching. Give it a like, a dislike, a thumbs up, a share, whatever you feel led to do. I would appreciate it. Until next time, God bless.